Myself and my sister found out that she was in a Magdalen laundry in 1995 when we traced her through the social work department in Cherry Orchard Hospital.
And at that point, did you know anything about the laundry or how your mum had ended up being there?
No, we didn't even know what a Magdalen laundry was. The only time we ever heard the word Magdalen was in the Bible, so we had no idea what such an institution was because we just weren't aware of it. We were aware of industrial schools, and that's where she was brought up. But in terms of older girls going into slavery in the laundries, no, I wasn't aware of what that was, but we found out, the social worker told us very gently what it really meant.
So you eventually did meet up with your mum, didn't you? Yes,
it took us 2 years to trace her. My sister did most of that work because I didn't really want to reunite, to be honest, because I already had a mum, my adoptive mum, and I was concerned about hurting her feelings. But when the time came at the end of the 2-year period when the social workers told us that they had found her, I felt it was unfair to send my sister alone or for Margaret to meet up with one twin and not the other. So I gritted my teeth and went ahead with the process with my lovely twin sister Etta.
Tell us a little bit about Margaret, because you no doubt had many questions to ask her when you did meet with her.
Yes.
When did she actually enter the laundry?
Well, before that, she entered industrial school at the age of 2 years and 4 months. So she was in industrial school from that tender age until the age of approximately 16, when she then entered the Gloucester Street Laundry, which is one of the institutions that will be reported on in Senator McAleese's report tomorrow.
So she didn't do anything that would have resulted in her being there. She was effectively institutionalised from when she was 2.
Yes, she wasn't sent there as a punishment or because she was pregnant. She went there just by virtue of her age, because not all the women who ended up in the laundries did have babies or went in expecting babies. Some just went there as I've called it in some of my correspondence and my tweets, the labour camps of Ireland. So they ended up there just as white slaves.
What did she tell you about her life inside the laundry?
Well, at the beginning, Jonathan, she was so overwhelmed to meet us that she was very tentative in her information because she seemed to feel inferior to us, and we didn't feel that at all. We didn't feel in any way superior. We felt she was a wonderful person, and we were just actually processing the information that we were learning about her and just really so shocked that our mother would be a slave in modern Ireland. So we were all very tentative in prodding her for information. And in fact, when we met, we heard from the social worker just in the couple of weeks before that when Margaret was approached about reuniting with her twins, that she didn't actually remember that she had any children. She had blocked that out, I assume with a form of post-traumatic stress, because she was 19 when we were born, and we were taken away from her at 7 weeks old, and she was breastfeeding us, and that all has quite a lot of hormonal effects when you stop breastfeeding and that. So I assume the shock of the babies being gone and the hormones and the emotional trauma meant that she actually blocked it out. So she didn't remember for over 40 years that she had any children.
My God.
And then she had another girl 3 or 4 years after us, and we have never met that girl either. So at that point she didn't remember that she had any children, and our turning up was a huge reminder that she did. So she had a small breakdown when she found out that her children had reappeared, the children that she forgot about unintentionally or blocked out. So it was a very, very raw and emotional time for all of us. Can imagine.
When she was in the system, if I can call it that, since she was 2,
yes.
and she had you when she was 19, and she'd been in the laundry for 3 years at that point. How did she fall pregnant?
Well, we've heard a couple of different possibilities there, and again, I didn't want to find out too much about who my father was, because Margaret was an innocent flower. She was a child, and she never grew up. So even when we met her, she was still childlike, and so that caused me to realise that our father must be a predator or an abuser. So I didn't want to think about that too much. But my twin was more curious than I, and she asked Margaret privately in some of their meetings or some of their coffee dates who the dad might have been, and she said for ages that she couldn't remember, and then one of the meetings she said that she thought that he might have been a shopkeeper in Wicklow in a shop where they went to buy sweets on a day trip. So that was horrific, obviously, as well, because you're thinking of her being violated in the back of the sweet shop, a little girl in care, a young woman in care, should I say, but she acted like a little girl. And we knew from speaking to her, Jonathan, that she didn't make any connection between sex and pregnancy, and that she didn't really understand how the babies came to be in her tummy or anything like that. She didn't understand any of that.
She wouldn't have known. This was a life that had been led, I suppose, inside the Catholic Church. She was under the care of nuns from when she was 2.
Yes. Now, the records of the nuns indicate that she tried to escape a couple of times, and that she did escape a couple of times, and they say that those couple of times were the occasions when she fell pregnant. But that seems to me a little bit too handily packaged. And if she was trying to get away, she wasn't trying to get away to go out and meet a boy. She wasn't like that whatsoever. Yeah,
you had this woman who was young, who was 19, who'd given birth to twins, and those twins were taken off her. And all of this time, she would have been working inside the laundry, and she would have been working very, very hard for no pay.
For no pay. And again, we asked her when we met her that time in 1995 what was the nature of her work, because we were just trying to understand it all. We couldn't figure it out, how she was in and not allowed out and all that kind of thing. And it was difficult to come to terms with, still is. And she said that most of her work was Mountjoy. And, we were trying to hide the shock on our faces, I suppose, because it dawned on me that an incarcerated person was washing the laundry of the incarcerated, and I found that very hard to come to terms with. And she made light of it. I said, what do you wash? Do you wash the linen, the sheets from the prisoners' beds, or what? And she said, everything, their clothes, their jeans. She said, you would not believe some of the things you find in their pockets. So then I was thinking about weapons, condoms, anything that a young girl shouldn't see in her innocent way, and I found all that quite perturbing.
That's very, very, very upsetting, and that's just to talk about it, never mind going through it.
Yeah.
When did Margaret leave the laundry?
She never left. She left in a coffin when she was 51. So she never got out. So when you met her, she would have still been in the laundry? Yeah, she was still in, and the laundry closed in 1996. It closed the laundry, so it was no longer operating as a laundry, but it was still the same living conditions. So she was in the same place for her whole adult life, and she died of her work-related injuries, or as I called them on Twitter on Saturday, her slave-related injuries. She died of a disease called good pasture syndrome, again, something I'd never heard of. But I have found out from reputable medical sources what good pasture syndrome is, and it's an acquired disease of the liver and kidneys, which is caused by the inhalation of chemicals over a long time. And obviously she was in the steaming laundry for her whole life, and eventually she died of kidney and liver failure. At what age? One day before her 51st birthday. Yeah. Were you happy you met her? Yes, on reflection, yes. It's been a very bumpy road, and no happy ending. But I'm very proud that I met her. I'm proud that she got to know us, and we told her that we were proud of her and that we loved her. And we bonded as much as you can after 23 years. But we respected her. We respected her like an aunt that you've heard of for years or something. She wasn't our mum. She was our biological mother. We had a mum who we loved very much. So it's all quite complex in terms of your emotions. Mm. But we're very proud of her and delighted that we have the ability to speak on her behalf, and we think that she'd be happy with that. And although it's too late for Margaret to get recompense or anything, or any of the rights back that she was denied for her whole life, my wish in doing all this for the last 10 years, and my twin sister's wish, is that our stronger voices than some of the women who are broken will help to bring pressure on the government tomorrow to do the right thing and look after the ones who are still alive, Jonathan. Samantha Long, thank you so much for sharing the story of Margaret with us. You're welcome. And my regards to you and to your sister, Etta. Thank you very much, Jonathan.